Hi, my name's Phil and welcome to Labour Vision, where we discuss Labour policies. And in this video, I thought I'd discuss Labour's Workers' Rights Bill, which is being promoted by Deputy Leader Angela Rayner. In fact, there are a few things I could have discussed this week. We've got the Scottish Labour Conference on. Keir Starmer's been talking today about the need for both Westminster and Holyrood to deliver for people in Scotland. But it occurs to me that what people all over the UK will massively benefit from is a boost to workers' rights. And Angela Rayner has published an article in the Financial Times today on this subject. Interesting, the Financial Times, that well-known woke Marxist paper for checks notes, the people who literally own the country, has decided to not only publish the article, but help highlight Rayner's example of the plight of P&O workers a couple of years ago. P&O Ferry Company basically sacked their British workforce, the entire lot, not their Irish workforce, just their British workforce, in order to employ others, largely from outside the UK, on poorer conditions and pay. The Conservative government said it was an outrage. Action would be taken. We're not going to stand for this, they said. 2 years later, they're still standing for it. No action has been taken. In fact, the Tories have rewarded the company with hundreds of millions of pounds worth of public contracts. But under Labour's proposals, the fire and rehire would have been illegal. And this is really important because you imagine workers in this country working with their unions to try and improve their pay and conditions, you would say, but actually these days it's more like stop their pay and conditions going down the toilet. And then your employer says to you, I'll just get rid of you if you ask for too much. I'll just get rid of you. P&O did it. They sacked their entire workforce, got cheaper ones in who knew which side their bread was buttered on. And the government, although they made a big fuss, they did nothing about it. We'll do the same thing, mind. So it's really important that the government say, actually, no, this is not on. And we're not going to get that until, of course, a Labour government. Now, I've talked about Labour's New Deal for working people before, a couple of months ago, I think it was. But what's interesting in Rayner's article is not just what Labour are proposing, but a great deal of compelling rationale for it. So in her article, Rayner attacks the Tories' attitude to business. She says, they're turning investment away, they're making it difficult for companies to set up in the UK. But she also attacks insecurity, low pay and poor well-being for workers. She says that rights and protections have failed to keep up with modern realities. Indeed, she could have gone further. They've gone backwards. The Tories are complaining that there are millions of people of working age that are not in employment when we've got a desperate shortage of workers. But what do they do about it? They just say, get into the workplace. Now, the usual factors apply here. Not all of those people are looking for work. Of those who are, they're not necessarily located where the vacancies are. And even where they are, they may not have the skills needed. Or, as Rayner points out at one point, may not be able to fit the pattern of work. Rayner is pointing out some factors that are not usually discussed. The low pay sometimes makes it impossible for someone with even a basic standard of living to take the work on offer. She says something else that's interesting too. Family commitments prevent people taking up certain types of work. Because it's interesting to note, the Tories keep saying that people should have more children. Because apparently the country's only full to immigrants. It's not full to white children, I think is what they mean. But they do not want the support. They don't want the state infrastructure in there to make it work. If you've got children, there are certain jobs, particularly certain shifts, you just can't do. There's not enough family-friendly work out there. And there's not enough support to help people into that. And Rayner points out the Tories even recognised the issue themselves. They reviewed the problems, received recommendations for changes to the labour market years ago, but they haven't acted on it. Rayner highlighted how countries like Germany, Denmark and the Netherlands have built a fairer distribution of wealth model. All countries, note, with a higher GDP per capita than the UK. Rayner goes on to say that business leaders aren't calling for her to rip up workers' rights. All too often the Tories say, businesses tell us it was to cut up all this red tape and bureaucracy. And what they mean by that is rights and protections. No, they don't. Not the good businesses. The proof of what businesses really wanted could be seen in the way business groups have reacted positively to Labour's proposals over the last couple of years and with dismay at the Conservatives. This culminated in the fact that Labour had way more businesses attending their conference than did the Conservatives last autumn. And Rayner's saying business leaders tell her that a healthy, motivated workforce is very good for their bottom line. And it's clear how you get a healthy, motivated workforce. You need a strong, reliable healthcare system. You also need workers not worrying about how to pay their bills. A worker who isn't sure how they make the money last until the end of the month is going to have that on their mind all the time, aren't they? They're not going to be working at peak productivity. It's obvious enough. Make workers value their jobs and they will do those jobs better. Make them feel like slaves and, well, what sort of outcome do you expect? And whatever else might have changed in terms of Labour policies over the last couple of years, little adjustments here, some major changes there, this new deal for working people hasn't, has it? Labour have been loudly talking about the details of this policy, as well as explaining that it's the first piece of legislation out of the gate when they form a government after the election. What we have with the proposed legislation here is a way to empower workers and unions to drive real terms wages back up after so much decline. Tories' nightmare, absolute nightmare, and yet there's nothing they can do about it. Do you notice how they'll attack Labour on this and that and the other? They don't really put a lot of effort into attacking this New Deal policy. It's because there's no point. They can't credibly argue that it'll raise taxes, and they certainly can't persuade working people that they don't actually want better pay and conditions. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you found the video interesting, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel and add your own thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, I'll see you later.